We're just gonna wrap up, do some Q&A, and they've been hitting me with some good questions over the last few days, so we're gonna, I've saved the answers for those, because I think their questions are probably really similar to other people's questions, so let's answer it in a group. Yesterday you said something to me, and I wanted to touch base on it today. I just wanted to figure out how to bring it up, and I saw it in action today. So you said that Mo was a 3-minute Fran guy, right? That
I think he's a 3-minute.
A 3-minute Fran guy, right? But what's your PR on Fran?
Last year, 5:30.
Okay, so what I see is everything that you do is executed with perfect form, okay? The issue with having everything that you do executed with perfect form is that you never go fast. There's a governor on the car. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Where you're always operating at about 2/3 throttle. That's what it seems like to me, watching you move. Everything looks flawless. And if it's flawless, it's not fast enough.
You think about the movement, everything you want to do and perform.
Every single pull-up, the last one looked like the first one. Every tire flip, it was technical and precise. All that stuff is great, but to get a 3-minute Fran, at some point, you need to train where the wheels come off.
Maybe he thinks too much.
You think it too hard. You're putting a governor on your own movements. You need to floor the car.
But isn't it something, I mean, maybe that's more important for him specifically? I mean, I prefer to have a better form than to work, to have the best Fran time at the box.
I think that you should blur the line, right? That sometimes you should crash the car and it just, the whole thing falls apart, okay? It's in those accidents, right, where you just blow the car up where you learn a lot.
Fran is crushing the car.
Right, you have to crash the car. You can't do a 2.5-minute Fran under control. It's full speed, okay? And I think that you need to get more comfortable with allowing yourself to be more uncomfortable. Fran should leave you on the ground, right? So sometimes you need to go beyond that comfort zone, and that's where you start to blur the line of perfect form. If it's always perfect, it's not fast enough.
You have to go a little bit out of control.
Right, and there's a slop factor. There's a slop factor.
For all levels of athletes?
Sure, because that's where progress happens. I think that's where good adaptation happens.
I think that when a lot of people who don't know CrossFit, they look at the people collapsing at the end of the workout and they say, well, this is not for me. This is really for people who take fitness to an absurd level. But I agree with you. It's at that level that you really gain a lot.
Right, because the next time you come back to that workout or to those series of movements or whatever it is that you're doing, the next time you come back to it, you know how uncomfortable you've been. Right. You can throttle it back and still go fast.
Anyways, it's irrelevant for newcomers because you're not asking for intensity from them.
I'm not, this is strictly for Mo,
yeah.
Right? And this is for guys who have butterfly pull-ups and they can rip the stone. We're talking about guys who have some baseline of fitness, okay? Guys and women that have they've passed elements, okay? Yeah. And they've done a 5-minute Fran and they've done Murph. You know, they've got some of those benchmarks out of the way. I'm talking about guys who they need somebody to crack the whip. Go faster.
Do you feel like you can push harder on certain things? Like, do you understand what Rob is telling you?
Yeah, probably. I should push myself much more harder. Again, it's just the little fear of losing the quality of the technique. So I don't know. My fear is I'm gonna probably get injured if I do some mistakes with the technique. So before every rep, especially in heavy metcons or stuff like that we've done, I always find myself kind of thinking before every rep I do. Before every time I flip the tire, you could see me lying down, thinking, taking air, and then, just then.
Have you injured yourself before?
Actually, never. Luckily, never. And probably I should push myself harder, much harder.
And if you look at the guys who are competing at the games, the guys who are doing 2.5-minute Frans and doing Murph and doing all the stuff that they do, I think more than physical, the adaptation is mental and psychological. It's the ability to just tune everything else out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's just that the reason why, I'm not going that fast, as you say, is that before every rep, for example, in a tire flip or in the stones, I always like thinking and trying to concentrate just in order not to lose technique. Because my fear is if I lose technique, then I'll probably get injured because I do some kind of mistake.
If you watch Jason Khalipa, and I don't, if this makes it into the video, I'm not picking on Jason, he's one of my favorites, but if you watch him do a workout where it's 185 or 155 power cleans for speed, he does a stiff-legged deadlift into a reverse curl, okay? He's not thinking about technique, he's thinking about bar speed. How do I go from there to here as fast as possible?
He's got the muscles to support it.
And so does Mo. Mo has the strength to go a lot faster. There's no question. Like his hip power on the stone is just snapping the thing right up to the top. But the setup is technical and slow and everything is deliberate and thought out. Sometimes you need to just go faster.
Overkilling.
Yeah, it's just, you can see him thinking on every rep. You can see him address the time, and none of that's wrong. None of that's wrong. But if the question is how do I get from a 5-minute Fran to a 3-minute Fran, that's what I would say. You don't need to be much stronger. You need to be more willing to hurt.
And that also means a more intense workout.
Absolutely.
So
and why? Right. Why? Okay. So we did this yesterday. Power and time, right? Fran is the same workout. You're doing 90 reps of total, okay? At 5.5 minutes, your power is here. At 2.5, it's up here. So there's more intensity in a 2.5-minute Fran. And that's where good adaptation happens.
It's just that I'm afraid that somewhere in the middle I'm going to get stuck. I'm going to get, all my power is going to...
Stop thinking. What happens if you do?
I won't complete the workout.
So what? So what?
This is where your ideology hits a mindset that we have that would rather collapse trying than leave something unfinished.
So then look, let's say you crash the car, okay, and you cannot do another pull-up. The clock is running, you're shaking out your arms, you wait 2 minutes, you telling me you can't do a pull-up in 2 minutes?
And that's the road to adaptation.
Okay, that's the road to adaptation. You need to come right up against that wall.